gutters where it get contaminated, and because of the drought condition, it has become difficult for the people to access the fresh water for their normal activity. So ultimately, from the increase in the population of the human being, then the developmental activities and the climate change, these all things have resulted into the water stress, which are continuously increasing, and in the future they will going to become worse. So there is a need for managing this water stress. How we can manage this water stress? For this, there are multiple things which we can do at the individual level as well at the government level and the community level. First thing is the reducing the demand of the water. If we reduce the way how we are using our water resources, when we can reduce the demand of the water resource, and ultimately it will help us to reduce or conserve our water. Second, reusing the water, the gray water which we are using in washing our dishes, clothes, bathing, this is known as the gray water, which we can reuse in the agricultural activity for giving for watering the plants, mopping and other kind of activities. Apart from this, the water which is being used in the industrial activities, that water can also be reused. Industrial water is remain contaminated with various kind of a chemicals. So after the treatment of the water, that water can be used for the cooling purposes in the industrial area. And again, the sewage or the effluent which is coming out from the municipal areas or the industry, after the treatment, this water can be used for the agricultural activities. So ultimately, if we start using the water which has already been used, it can reduce the impact or the stress on the fresh water resources. Apart from that, restoring ecosystem. This is also one of the method by which we can reduce the water stress. Restoring ecosystem, it means that increasing the forest cover areas or rejuvenating the wetland areas, which actually help us in increasing the groundwater recharge. Forests are the areas which actually, with the help of their roots, increase the water infiltration inside the soil and ultimately help in the recharge of the groundwater. Apart from that, forests are the ecosystem which reduces the incidences and intensity of the flooding and also help in the uh, reducing the soil erosion and the soil degradation process. Then, as I told you about the wetlands, wetlands are the natural ecosystem. These are the areas which remain flooded with the water either temporary or permanently throughout the years. These natural ecosystem also buffer the flooding condition and help in the filtration of a water below the ground, helping into the recharge of the groundwater. Apart from that, in strengthening the government or the way the government is managing the water resources, we can also reduce the water stress. For just like by implementing the laws or by putting some fine on the excess use of the water resource, we can increase the wise use of the water resource. These methods, which are implemented or enforced by the government, actually help us to reduce the water use as well as the wastage of the water resources. And the last and the most important method by which we can reduce the water stress is by recharging the groundwater through the rainwater harvesting system. Rainwater harvesting systems are the system where the rainwater which we receive every year, instead of wasting that water or letting it to go into the gutters or the drainage system, we catch them or collect them properly and allow them to be get infiltrate into the ground areas, recharging the groundwater, and this water can also be used for various human activities. There is a case in which Colonel Shashikant Dalvi. He is a ex-army officer who, after his retirement, for the first time in his city, installed a rainwater harvesting system in the housing society, in his housing society. By doing this, he actually solved the problem of water scarcity is in area. And after doing this, he realized that by adopting the rainwater harvesting system, they not just only manage the problem of the water scarcity, but they also reduce the cost of the cost for purchasing the water from the tanker system. So it reduces the cost load also, and also naturally revive the groundwater or the aquifers which could be used by their society, by their areas for a longer time. After doing this, Sashikant Dalvi also aware other peoples regarding the rainwater harvesting system, and he participated in various activity where he encouraged people to adopt the rainwater harvesting system in their areas, in their buildings. And even the Shashikant Dalvi, on the based on his experience, accounted that if we are installing a rainwater harvesting system in 1500 square feet of a rooftop area, then the rain which we are receiving in one monsoon season in the 1500 square feet area can help us to harvest nearly 1 lakh liter of a water. It's a huge amount. So if we all people, if we are installing this kind of a system in our houses, in our apartment, we can save a lot of fresh water which is coming down through the rain. So conserving water is more important than finding a new sources of the water resources. So, as we were talking about the rainwater harvesting system, it's a system where we first of all capture the rainwater which is falling on the ground surfaces or on the rooftop. After capturing that water, this water is passed through the filter, through using our different kinds of pipes and different kinds of material like pebbles, sand. This filtration help in removing the dirt and other contaminants present in the rainwater. After the filtration, this water is diverted into a pit, well, or a tank where this water can be stored for a longer time. In this, from by using this storage tank, we can further use this water in various purpose or various activities such as for planting trees and mopping, cleaning, etc. And apart from that, if we allow that water to stand for a longer time, then these pits or the recharge wells can help in increasing the groundwater level. So these systems are essential as well as crucial to increase the to reduce the problem of the water stress, which going to be increased in the near future. Then this rainwater harvesting system is nothing new which we are seeing in nowadays. This is the technique which is being used from the ancient time in India. One of the earliest kind of rainwater harvesting system we can notice in the Indus Valley civilization, which was installed at the Dholavira in Kutch, Gujarat. In people in the Indus Valley civilization were much more aware about their water resources, and they worked to secure the water resource or the water which they were receiving from the rain. So they developed this rainwater harvesting system around 4500 years ago, and because of which they were supposed to use the water carefully and wisely. In the ancient time, the rainwater harvesting was not just done by using the rooftop, but people used to collect the water which used to fall on the mountains. They used to collect the water from the mountain slope. Apart from these, the open catchment areas were also used for storing the rainwater. And these practices in the ancient time were based on the local condition And it was a community effort. People from a community or the local area all were used to participate in these kind of activity to make this process more effective. And apart from that, these practices were more aligned with the natural environment, which means the way they used to conserve the water was does not affect the environmental condition. Actually, it helped in restoration of the ecosystem. So the condition which were used by the people before designing or developing their rainwater harvesting system included the rainfall pattern according to the amount of a rainfall is happening there, and in the season when the rainfall is occurring, they used to design their rainwater harvesting system. Then the soil characteristic was one of the important concern for developing the rainwater harvesting system. Apart from that, topography, that is the area is a mountainside area or it's a plain area, it was again a major factor which influence the design of the rainwater harvesting system. Then culture, people link the rainwater harvesting system with their culture, and therefore they consider the water as a sacred resource, and thus they share a responsibility among each other for maintaining these rainwater harvesting system. Apart from that, these you can find that the various kind of a rainwater harvesting system adopted by the local people depends upon their local needs, yeah, lifestyle needs of their daily life. So here are the different kinds of the traditional water harvesting system which we can see, which are followed by the people in India in different states. If we consider North India parts, in Ladakh, people are harvesting the rainwater by using a method known as the zinc. In the Himalayan region like Jammu and Himachal Pradesh, people use a method known as the pull for conserving the water. In Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Telangana, people use the step wells or the bawlis for conserving the water resources. In if we talk about the Bihar, ahar pines are the method or the structure which were used by the people for storing the water. If we look at the eastern India, we can find different kinds of a method or the names which were used for collecting water from the mountain sides. That was like Apatani in the Arunachal Pradesh, Dabo in Nagaland, Dong in Assam, and bamboo dip irrigation was used in the Meghalaya. Then, if we come to the Orissa, barns were used to conserve the water resources. In Tamil Nadu, tank system was used for conserving the water, and it was known as the Aries. Then in Gujarat, again a tank system was used for conserving the water, which was known as the Virdas. Similarly, in Rajasthan, there was various methods for conserving the water, such as khadin, johars, even Bawlis or the step wells were also used in the Rajasthan for conserving the water. So we will first talk about the johars which were developed in the Rajasthan. These were the small earthen check dam or a crescent shaped reservoir which were used to collect the runoff from the monsoon season, which was collected into the monsoon season. Uh, these areas were used to accumulate the rainwater from the runoff, and once the water is get collected in the johar, they allow them to infiltrate into the ground, helping in recharging the groundwater and increasing the water table. In our history, we can see that the Johar has been used by the Rajendra Singh, the waterman of India, to revive their water condition and the river Aravari. In 1986, when due to the deforestation in the Aravalli Hills, the groundwater in these areas started depleting. People from the Alwar district they started migrating to the other areas. Because of this, It became a major concern for this area, and even the state government declared that area as a dark zone because of the lack of the water. Ultimately, in 1986, Rajendra Singh, through his NGO known as Tarun Bharat Sangh, started reviving the Johars for the water revival. He encouraged local communities to participate in the development of the Johar, and ultimately he reversed the problem of the water scarcity in those areas. And by the year 1995, they achieved in reviving their dead river Aravari. This ultimately restored the local population to those areas and help people to survive in the Rajasthan Alwar region in a manner which they were living earlier. Then next is the khadans, which is another kind of a rainwater harvesting system which is being seen in the Rajasthan area. This is a method where the water which is coming down from the slope of the mountain is being stopped by using the embankment. This kind of method of rainwater harvesting system prevent the runoff of the water, soil erosion from the mountain slope, and help in the recharge of the groundwater. The embankments made on the slope of the mountains help water to accumulate in that area, and with the passage of time, that water infiltrates into the ground, ultimately leaving the surface of the soil, which become moisturized and fertile uh, due to the sediments which get accumulated on the surface of the mountains of mountains, and this make agriculture more extensive. People used to cultivate various kinds of crop on these areas, and this garden rainwater harvesting system was first started in the 15th century by the Paliwal Brahmins in the Jaisalmer area. Then tangas. These also are which we can see in the Rajasthan. Here the water which is fall on the earth on the rooftop or in the courtyard is being get collected through a pipes or through a channel and ultimately stored in a cylindrical storage structure which remains underground and covered with the lime or cement so that the water does not evaporate easily. These kinds of structure are seen in the areas where the precipitation or the rainfall is very low. By using a covered structure, this method help in reducing the loss of water through the evaporation, and ultimately it's the underground structure, so it also help in the infiltration and increase in the groundwater level rise. Apart from that, this water was also used by the local people for their day-to-day activities. Next method for the rainwater harvesting is the designing of the bowlies or step wells. These bowlies are common in Delhi, UP, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat. These were the structure where in the center a reservoir was made, and from the side steps were made which were descending toward the water reservoir. Due to the accumulation of water in this water reservoir, they had a cooling effect in the nearby areas, and therefore the steps made near the water reservoir was used by the people for their social gathering and the cultural activity. These structures was not just to collect and store the rainwater, but also were the sector or the section where the people were used to meet each other socially, and it was an amalgam of the architecture, water management, cultural heritage. For example, the Rani Ki Vav, which is a Bauli or a stepwell in a Gujarat in the Patan area near the Ahmedabad. It's a UNESCO's World Heritage Site, and you can see the motif of this Rani Ki Vav on the river side of the 100 rupees note. This method was an important method of a rainwater harvesting it not only used to collect the water but also help in the recharge of the groundwater. Next is the alpine. These kind of structures were used in the Bihar areas. The water after the rain was used to collect in a large reservoir which are known as the ahar, and then from this ahar small channels were used to be made which are known as the pine, and water from through these channels were distributed to different areas for various purposes such as irrigation and other activities. These areas not only just used to conserve the water but also help to prevent the seasonal flood caused due to the excessive rain. After that, Sinks of the Ladakh. We all know that the Ladakh is an area where we can find various glaciers. These glaciers continuously melt during the summer region. So, and it is a Ladakh is a terrain where water availability is very scarce. So, people in Ladakh they make a tank like a reservoir or the storage structure where the water which is being melted from the glaciers get accumulated in these tanks, and this water is ultimately diverted toward the local areas for their consumption, for their agricultural activities, ultimately making agriculture possible in such kind of a terrain areas. Then next is the kul, which is common in the Himalayan regions. Kul are the structures where the water from the natural streams or the channels is diverted toward the irrigational land. These structures are based on the uh, gravity, and the water is actually transported in these kind of a method without using much of the energy resources. The on the base of the gravity, small channels are made from the main streams which are diverted toward the different agricultural field, and based on the gravitational pull the water draws itself toward the different lands, and ultimately people use according to their requirement, and then allow the further water to move to the another land areas for their further utilization. Uh, then next is the eddy system. This is a multiple tank system which is common in the South India, particularly in the Tamil Nadu. Here the water runoff water is get collected into a series of a tank, and once one tank get over flooded with the water is automatically diverted to the another tank for its storage. By doing this, the rainwater firstly get stored at the places. This water help in the recharge of the groundwater. Secondly, due to the development of the multiple tanks, this method help in preventing the flooding condition in those areas. Next is the bamboo dip irrigation method. Bamboo dip irrigation method is a method where hollow bamboo pipes are used for diverting the water or the runoff from the mountain areas to the agricultural field. This method of water transportation not only prevent the soil erosion from the mountainous slope, but this method also help to reduce the speed of a water which otherwise get wasted. Due to the gravity, the flow of the water, which remains around 20 liter per minute, is reduced to 20 to 80 drops per minute by using the bamboo's pipes. And ultimately, these bamboo pipes are channelized to the irrigation areas or the irrigation land where the water is actually provided to the plants for their growth. By doing this method, we are not just preventing the soil erosion, but we are providing water to for the irrigation activities to the areas which require it in an adequate amount. So next, how and why the community participation is important in the Indian traditional water management system. By making the traditional water conservation system community based, we not only just protecting the water resources, But because of the community participation, the process of rainwater harvesting or rainwater conservation becomes more effective. Being a community, people always have a shared responsibility. Because of the shared responsibility, they are more concerned about their natural resources, and they actually effectively work for protecting their system, their resources, and their effective use. So, in a community, when we are conserving the water through a rainwater harvesting system, they form certain rules, they enforce certain rules, which include maintenance of a tank and a channel. The people who are a part of that community, they oftenly share a responsibility for maintaining their tanks and channels by their own, not like the present system where we are totally dependent on the government authorities for maintaining our tanks and the water channels. Apart from that, the people in the community, they are responsible for allocating the irrigating water to a particular field or to the community, so that there should be no kind of a dispute among the people, and each and every person get their share of the water resource. Apart from that, the cleaning and desiltation, which is one of the important method to keep your system functioning, this was also done by the people in the community. Then protection of the catchment area, which means illegal encroachment of area was prohibited, and people used to take care of such kind of activity that no one can illegally encroach in those areas. Apart from that, in case of the severe drought condition, the water which is stored in these rainwater harvesting system was shared among the people living in that community. And then apart from that, people were only responsible for preventing the contamination of water. Today, what is happening that the people themselves are causing the contamination of their rivers or the water resources. But earlier in the community based water conservation system, people were self responsible for preventing their water ecosystem from contamination. So they were reluctant to throw their waste into the water bodies, which cannot be seen in the today's world. So adopting such kind of a practices, a community based practices, actually can help us to reduce the contamination and of the water, as well as the water related scarcity or the stress in the future. So then, what are the environmental benefits of using these rainwater harvesting system? First, these rainwater harvesting system actually help in recharging the groundwater. The water table, which is continuously residing because of the over extraction of a groundwater, can be revived by utilizing these kind of a rainwater harvesting system. Second, these rainwater harvesting system can reduces the incidences of the flood, can effectively manage the problem of a flood. After that, obviously, these methods help in preventing the runoff. Thus, it helps in the soil conservation by reducing the soil erosion. Then, biodiversity conservation, the animals or the aquatic life which are dependent on the water bodies or the water resources, they are depleting or they are dying because of the depletion in the water source. So, by doing the rainwater harvesting, we can revive the water resource, and thus we can also conserve the biodiversity. Next is the reduce energy consumption. If we use the method the people are using in different areas like bamboo dip irrigation pools, the water can be channelized to distant places without using a higher or excessive amount of the external energy. Thus, thereby we can reduce the consumption of the energy resource also. Then by making these structure, we are making our society climate resilience. Climate is a condition where we are facing a change in the rainfall patterns, increasing flood, increasing drought, increasing temperature. So by making these kind of a structure, we not only solve the problem of flooding or drought, but we can also increase the availability of water, which can be caused because of the climate change. Next is the community participation. This helps people to bring closer, understand each other, have a mutual cooperation that increase a harmony between the people living in a society. So, what is the relevance of this era in a climate change? As we discussed, climate change is now something which is very evident. Because of the climate change, rainfall pattern has become very erratic. Some places of the world are facing a problem of a flooding due to the excess rainfall, and some areas in the world are facing drought condition due to the lack of the rainfall. So, if we have such rainwater harvesting system where we can restore the natural water and increase the ground level of the groundwater, then we can use this water for the future use under the condition of drought. And during the rainfall, these structure will help to store excess amount of water, thereby preventing the runoff and the flooding issues. So, uh, ultimately, by utilizing or by developing this ancient kind of a rainwater harvesting system, we can make our society adapted to the climate change, which going to become more severe in the coming future. Next, application in the modern society, how we can integrate this ancient technology with the modern world. We all are doing the rooftop rainwater harvesting, which is similar. But apart from that, we can also utilize this ancient knowledge in for recharging the pit, recharging the wells, for in the percolation trenches, biospheres, and the rain gardens. Rain gardens and the biospheres are the structure which are developed in the open spaces or in the highways areas where we use the method like a slope or the engineered soil by which we can simply prevent the runoff water, and we can direct this rainwater into these areas so that the water actually get accumulated in these depression areas and ultimately infiltrates into the groundwater to increase the groundwater level. Then the permeable surfaces. Today, because of the development, we have made all the roads with we have covered all the roads with the concrete. But instead of covering the road with the concrete, if we make the permeable surfaces which have a spaces through which soil can percolate and infiltrate inside the ground, then can also help in the preventing the rainwater getting into the gutters or in a drainage system and help in increasing the groundwater. So, by utilizing the ancient knowledge of rainwater harvesting, we can develop such a new and a modern kind of a structure which ultimately reduces the water stress. Then how we can integrate these ancient knowledge with the modern technology? In modern technology, we are using remote sensing, GIS, groundwater mapping. These can be integrated with the ancient methods, and by using these we can actually check the amount of a rainfall a particular place is getting, and according to that we can design a different kind of rainwater harvesting system, and we can keep a continuous check, or we can continuous monitor the condition of these rainwater harvesting system, how effectively they are functioning because of the use of the modern technology. So this traditional rainwater harvesting system not can only help us to increase the reduce the water stress, but these can also align with the sustainable development goals. For example, SDG 6, which is concerned with the clean water and sanitation, we can increase the water resource, thus it help in the providing clean water to the people for their life daily basis activity and increasing the sanitation. Second is SDG is the SDG 2. Indirectly, rainwater harvesting is related with that, as if we increase the water resource, we provide the water for the irrigation, then we will obviously able to increase the agricultural production, which ultimately help in reducing the hunger problem in India. Then third is the SDG 11. By using these rainwater harvesting, as we can reduce the flooding and drought condition, so we can develop a sustainable cities and communities. SDG 12, which is related to the responsible consumption. So again, by making a rainwater harvesting system, we can sustainably use our water resources. Next is climate action. Obviously, because of the climate change, kind of a problem which we're going to face in the future can be managed by developing a rainwater system. And ultimately, SDG 15, which deals with the life on the land, the biodiversity, which is dependent either directly or indirectly on the water resource, we can revive them and we can conserve those species also. So ultimately, I can conclude that the Indian traditional rainwater system is a combination of knowledge of the ecosystem, agriculture, as well as the architecture, the local governance done by the people living in that area, as well as it also aligned with the sustainability developmental issue of the present era. Then these rainwater harvesting system also increase the water security in the future, which going to be aggravated due to the climate change. Next, it help in reducing the water stress in a country like India, which has been estimated to reach water stress level more than 80% by the year 2050, as we have seen above. So ultimately, we can say that ancient wisdom can work, or it should focus on integrating the principle of the traditional knowledge with the modern technology, so that we can utilize the older knowledge in a new manner to solve the problem of the present generation or the present conditions. Thank you, everyone. So if you are having any question, then you can ask.
Thank you, ma'am. Any question from participants?
Yes, I'm GD Garg from Lucknow.
Yes, sir.
Madam, I want to ask that we have got SDG 6 to 11, 12, 13, 15.
Yes, sir.
Government must be allocating certain funds against these SDG.
Yes, sir.
So, what is the effort of government to provide these funds for rainwater harvesting?
As the government has made the rainwater harvesting compulsory in certain states or the certain cities of the world, certain cities in the India, the government is also giving subsidies in establishing these rainwater harvesting system in their apartments or the home. So even you can communicate with the Niti Aayog. They can also allocate some kind of a fund if you are developing these kind of system in a community-based manner. Hello?
Is there any standardization of all these systems in state-wise? Because
No,
different
sir.
states
No,
has
sir.
got different methods.
Sir, there is no
Johad,
standardization till now regarding the rainwater harvesting system.
yeah,
Yes, sir.
no standardization.
No, sir. Still, there is no standardization regarding this.
But we have different methods in different
Yeah.
states.
Yeah, we have
Baulis,
according to.
Ahar,
Yes, sir.
Iri in Tamil Nadu, and
Yes, sir.
there will be some excellence in all the cases.
Yes,
So the
sir.
government can make standardize something good for everybody.
Obviously, sir, the government should supposed to focus on this thing. But as I told you, the government is not only supposed to do the activities for protecting the water resources. It's a community-based thing where the local people should come forward to conserve their water resources. Because government is doing activities at its own level. They are putting taxes on the water resource management. They are conserving the wetland areas, but and they are also giving subsidies for developing a rainwater harvesting system in the homes and the apartment. But actually people have to understand that they are supposed to install such kind of a system in their locality or in their area, so that on a large scale the water resource can be conserved through the rainwater harvesting.
Right, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Any question from participants? Any other question? Okay. Now, as we come to the end of this webinar, I extend my gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Dr. Swati ma'am, to sharing the valuable insight on traditional rain harvesting system. Through this session, uh, we increase our understanding of importance of traditional rain harvesting system and practices in achieving a sustainable future. I sincerely thanks to our all participants as well as also ICMR NOH Director and AIACP Coordinator Dr. Ankit Seth sir and whole AIACP team to successfully conducted this webinar. So this at the this end of this webinar, my appreciation also goes to my appreciation also goes to Dr. Hiran Bhai ma'am from Central Asia, Gujarat, and also I thanks to uh, Hiran, AICP team, and Vignesh. So thank you so much to all participants who have joined, and please register your attendance in Google Sheet, which dropped in a chat box. So kindly register your